So this is a method which is used for implementing SAP solutions. So we have many methods, like we have activate methodology, we have agile methodology, and this is ASAP methodology. Earlier, SAP from the beginning onwards, from 1972 onwards, for all the SAP implementation, they were using ASAP methodology. Now they have shifted to activate methodology or like agile methodology mostly. Now let us understand the first method, which is ASAP methodology. So these are the different phases of methodology. So first, what is the first method? First phase. First phase is project preparation phase. Just assume that you're working in the project. So what will be the activities at the project preparation phase? I've just written some bullet points here. So project scope. Now you will decide which modules need to be implemented, which applications need to be implemented. When I say applications, so for the Verizon, presently today, Verizon using multiple applications. For example, Concur is a system where it is used for employee expenses, right, or employee reimbursement. So all the transactions related to the employees will be processed in Concur system. It's another application. Okay, so which application? So now as from the implementation side, we need to discuss with the Verizon team. We need to can you mute yourself? I think little disturbance is there from the background. So but definitely you can ask the questions if you want in between. Okay, wherever you're not able to understand. Project scope, you will decide which applications need to be implemented, which modules need to be implemented. When I say modules, FI module, SD module, CO module, PS module, PI module, many modules will be there in SAP, right? So from the Verizon side, from the Deloitte side, all the senior management team will discuss at the project preparation phase. They will decide for this implementation which modules need to be considered, which applications need to be considered for this implementation. So they will finalize it. Next, roles and responsibilities. As a I'm considering myself as from the FI side, from the implementation side, from Delight implementation side, I'll be working for the FI consultant. Okay, as a FI consultant. So even from the Verizon side, someone should be there from the from the accounts department, like accounts manager, senior accounts manager. So definitely here itself during project preparation phase, everyone's from the stakeholders from the Delight side, stakeholders from the Verizon side, each and everyone will have some roles, responsibilities. So I will be working on FI, you will be working on CO, the other person will be working on the SD. So definitely roles and responsibilities will be defined here. As I mentioned here, this is already covered here. I already mentioned which models need to be implemented. The models, which models need to be implemented for this implementation will be discussed during this phase. Timelines, another important one. So what is your plan to complete this implementation? So very big implement. So Verizon is a very big, a large enterprise. Definitely, it will take 1.5 year. So you will decide the timelines, right? You will decide the timelines here. Okay, you will decide the timelines. So when your project should get started, and what is your first phase, second phase, when the second phase should get started, when it has to be completed, what is the plan on the go live, when Verizon will start working in SAP. So you will decide the planning, the timelines for each phase. What will be your go live for SAP for Verizon's company? So you will decide the timelines. This gives very good picture, right? So planning, you are deciding the planning when it has to be started, when it has to be completed, each phase. So definitely timelines will be there. Okay. In other words, we call it as milestones. Milestones. Okay. Objectives. Okay. Coming to the objectives, it could be some technical or functional. So what is your objective from the FI side? What will be the what objectives that I have to be completed from the FI side, from the SD side, from the CO side, from the project side? Okay, you'll define all your objectives as well here. Project team. So there will be a separate project team for tracking all the activities, project activities. Okay. Yesterday I was saying regarding solution manager tool, right? Where it's an application. It's a SAP Solman, which is called Solman or solution manager, where it will track all the project activities. So definitely we'll have some project team will track all the activities. Project team will be there. So this is very high level phase. where usually a senior team will be involved here, senior manager team or manager team. So manager level or senior manager level. So has very extensive experience in the implementations. Will be working in this phase. Any questions from this phase that you did not understood? Hmm. So if you get an opportunity working in implementation, that is very good. You learn many things. If you're working as a SAP consultant, as a SAP, if you're working in a support project, right? So it's very less. You will not get much information. But usually until unless if you have six or four, five or six or 8 years experience, then only they will consider for the implementation projects. If you have two years or 3 years, I don't think they will take you into the implementation project. They will put you in the support projects. But yes. So Verizon is already using SAP. They already implemented 10 years back. Now you'll be working as a support consultant for Verizon. Depends, right? So very big companies like Capgemini, Accenture, Deloitte. Definitely, you have some sales representatives, right? Selling SAP application. They will go and ask many companies. So, for example, I will give some one X company is there. Okay, they want to implement SAP. Now they had given what you say quotation to the some almost 10 to 12 companies. In that 10 to 12 companies, Deloitte, Capgemini, Accenture, IBM, many are there. At last, that X company has given chance to Deloitte for implementing some X company SAP. So this is something, this is not something that it will get covered in $1 or $2 million, right? It will take lot of money. I'll tell you one example. Just now I told you some X company I mentioned, right? So that X company took almost 4.5 years to implement SAP. Just imagine almost 150 consultants are there. Of course, senior, junior, all together. Depends, sir. Depends upon the size of the company, right? So whether medium sized business or large sized business or lower sized business. Now you tell me TCS. Do you think it's a small company or medium sized business or large company? Large company, it has a number of, it is a MNC, right? Multinational corporation. Across the world, you have TCS companies branches, even HCL, even Tech Mahindra, even Capgemini, Accenture, Deloitte, many consulting companies, the very big companies. Not all this, you take FMCG companies also, right? Hindustan Lever Limited, not only in India, it has other branches in other countries. So what I meant to say is, it depends upon the size of the company. It's a depends. I mean, it could be 8 months project, it could be 12 months, it could be 1.5 year, it could be 2 years also. That's what I'm saying. This X company has took at least 1.5 year to give project to Deloitte. Just understand. And initially, the senior team has analyzed their requirements at higher level. That took at least 1 year again. It's kind of what you say, POC, right? Proof of concept. Okay, some you will have some demo server, they will do something in the system, they will show it will be like this in SAP system. So that took at least 1 year. And later 2 years, it took 2 years to implement SAP. Configuration, testing, go live and everything. 4.5 years it took. So it depends upon the size of the business. Hmm. Depends. So yep. You'll come to the you'll come to the next phase, sir. I'll discuss in the next phase. Okay. So I'll just move to the another phase. So business blueprint. Here our picture comes, right. As a SAP consultant, I will understand the business process of the Verizon, right? I'll discuss. Okay, since I'm a FI consultant, I'll discuss with accounts manager of Verizon. What is your business process from the accounting perspective? What is your business? What are the accounting principles you are using? What is the master data? What are the account groups? What is so are, what I'll prepare a checklist. I'll discuss with them. I'll what are the different scenarios that comes under accounts receivable, accounts payable, asset accounting, GL. So each and every area I need to conduct some workshops, meetings with the business, and I need to understand their current business process. Okay, I need to understand their current business process. That's the reason I mentioned here, understanding business processes of business, Verizon's business. Workshops, we need to conduct meetings, workshops, presentations. We need to explain SAP, and at the same time, we need to confirm from there, right, what is their business requirement. I will explain SAP business, I will explain what the functionality of SAP, how it works in SAP system. At the same time, I will confirm with them what are their requirements. So at last, I'll prepare some notes, which is called as is business existing business process. Okay, after understanding their business process, I will prepare some notes, right? That notes is nothing but blueprint. Blueprint is the document where which states the current business process and what will be your future business process. That is called to be business process. As is and to be. What is your existing business process? What will be the future business process for Verizon in SAP? So as is and to be. This is called as is to be is called blueprint document. Blueprint. So fit and gap analysis. So do you think each and every business requirement will fit in SAP? If client has 100 requirements, do you think that all 100 requirements will fit in SAP? No, you're saying hope, right? So somewhere something is missing. So 95% it will fulfill. 5% may not be fulfilled, right? So for those five requirements, okay, that is called gap. 95, okay, fit the 95 requirements has been fit in SAP, but there are five requirements which not fit in SAP, which are not standard related configuration, which are not fulfilled by the standard configuration. So for those five requirements, I will request technical team, the programmers, ABAPers. I will request them to develop the programs. So I will be the person who will take the business requirement as a functional consultant. It is my responsible to take the I mean requirements from the client. Then I need to explain to the technical team to develop the program. Okay. So I'll prepare one documentation for technical team, which is called functional specification. That functional specification, I'll clearly mention what is the business requirement, what needs to be done in SAP system. That has to be approved from the client side at the same time from the technical team side. I mean from the ABAP team side. If everything is once you get the sign off copy, then the technical team will proceed developing the program. Documentation, yes. Here we prepare some presentations. Here we some PPTs or presentations, right? And we'll prepare blueprint documentation. We'll prepare fit gap analysis, the spreadsheets, documents, etc. So we'll prepare some documentation for the what do you say during blueprint phase. I mean for all the what do you say different um, situations. Okay. Process modeling, this is something what do you say you have Microsoft Visual Editor, right? We can so we'll use all charts and everything, right? So there are many applications. So just understand your P2P process starts with what do you say purchase requisition, then purchase order, then goods receipt, then invoice receipt, right? So on, you have some process for the P2P process, right? Similarly, you prepare that process in presentation form in Microsoft Visual Editor or using some other application in the chat forms, in the rectangle squares, right? You have flow diagrams. So we can create flow diagrams in this application. So I was working under, I mean, I used many applications. This is one of the application where you prepare some flow charts for the different business processes. I mentioned here, see flow chart. Okay, this application name called Signavio. So it depends. It for the some clients it could have it could some for some I mean for some of the clients they will use normal standard Microsoft. Some clients will use PowerPoints. Some clients will use normal Word documents. Depends. And getting sign off blueprint as is and to be process documentation, whatever we prepare the documentation, right? The current business process and what will be the future business process, which is called as is to be process, also called blueprint document. You should get sign off copy from the user. So you until unless if the user is not signing off, then you have to revise again and again here. So at last, if the client is satisfied, they will provide the user sign off copy. So once they provide the user sign off copy, we can proceed with the next phase. We can start doing configuration settings in the system, which is called realization phase. So once we receive blueprint, I mean sign off copy from the client, then we'll proceed with the next phase, which is called realization phase. Any questions from the blueprint before we start realization phase? Good. So do you see anything, Bhuneshwari? The more the questions you ask, you will get the more good knowledge. Okay. Now understand the realization phase. When I said here, now what happened? So now we discussed with the business, we got the requirements, we prepared the documentations, we prepared all the documentations, the configuration, everything, all the documents are there with you. With the help of reference to the documents, we'll proceed with our configuration. So we start doing settings in the system. Right. So so as a FI consultant, I'll be start doing configurations like enterprise structure settings, GL settings, APs, accounts payable settings, accounts receivable settings, asset accounting settings, depends, right? So similarly, other consultants like SD consultant will start doing SD related settings, MM consultant will do MM related settings, HR consultant will do HR related settings in the development system. Okay, in the golden configuration will be done in the where we do the configuration initial. Yesterday we discussed on the SAP landscape. We do it in the development system under golden client, which is called configuration client. Of course, we do the testing. So while doing the configuration, you know what is the business requirement. Based on the business requirement only, you will do the configuration, and you will prepare the scenarios. You will test the scenarios whether it is working as per business expectations or not, client expectations or not. If it is not working, definitely we'll come back and do the changes. Again, we'll come back and do the testing, right? These two things are very important, configuration and testing in the realization phase. Of course, documentation, you will prepare a documentation for the configuration documents, you will prepare documentations for the unit testing. So you'll prepare many documentations. So as I mentioned here, we mentioned, right, there could be some scenarios where it cannot fit in SAP. For those, we need to discuss with the technical team. We need to develop some functional specifications. Functional consultants start writing FS, which is called functional specifications. Developers will start developing the programs based on these functional specifications once we get the sign off copy. So this is other side technical team also working along with us. Templates, yes, configuration documents, user guides. We'll prepare some user guides also. Users don't know how to process the steps in SAP. They're completely blind. They don't know. They're working in the Tally system. They're working in the Oracle system now. Now when they shift to SAP, do you think they know everything in SAP? No, right? They don't know how to post a document also. So it is your responsible to prepare some user guide documents. You have to you have to present very clearly what needs to be done in SAP, how to process a transaction in SAP, each and every area. So based on these user guides, they'll just follow your steps, and then they post the transactions in SAP system. Yeah, test plan document, test scenarios, and the functional specifications. Yes, FS, BPDs, business process documents. So during second phase itself, while discussing, you will prepare the documentations, business process documentations. What is their GST process? What is their subcontracting process? What is their sales order process? So we'll prepare at that time only. All BPTs will be prepared. Any any questions you see which you did not understood here? Yes, 100%, sir. Who will, so you are the persons, you are the SAP consultants, you have discussed with the business, right? You know the business process, then how the other person will prepare the documentation? Okay, so okay, just imagine, okay, since I was working in Deloitte as a lead, for example, okay, so under me some three, four consultants are there. I will ask them to prepare it. Since I am the lead for the FIA, so I will ask them to, they are the junior consultants, so I will ask them to prepare, but it's my responsibility to explain them, right? Yeah, definitely it could be the same, but It will be helpful. It will be helpful. Definitely, it will be helpful. I'm not saying complete 100%, but it depends upon the business process. If, for example, take two IT companies. It will be similar business process only, right? Almost. So you can use the same similar documents. But usually, clients will have very secured access. You should use VPN access, so it is very difficult to download the documents, right? So chances are there. I mean, depends. You can take the screenshots or you can use the documents for reference. Yeah. So do you think, sir, do you think that one company will use accounts receivable, the other company will use some other accounting instead of accounts receivable? Do you think? Accounting is always accounting. It will be the same thing, right? So if you're purchasing materials for vendor, you are posting some vendor invoice. So instead of vendor invoice, what you will do other than vendor invoice? So it will be same accounts payable vendor invoice only. Are we changing the entire accounting bookkeeping now? Then your question is invalid. Example. Ha, it depends again. Someone will use services, someone will use inventory. In that case, it definitely will be different, right? Okay, you will be using it will be same transaction, but it could be different materials or different services material. It could be raw material, it could be service material. See, accounting perspective, it's a similar. GL, AR, AP, asset, everything will be similar. Okay, but from the business perspective, from the business process perspective, it could be different. In India, asset accounting is different from asset accounting from in US. Do you agree? Their accounting principles are different. Our accounting principles are different. So in India, you'll use a straight line balance method for the depreciation calculation. In US, they will use only useful life. What do you say now? Process. Yes, yes, yes. So in this phase, we did the configuration, we did the testing, we prepared the documentation, we also aligned with technical team to write the programs. Okay, coming back to the next phase, final preparation. Now we are very close to go live. Okay, final preparation, yes, we'll move all changes to the quality system. We test thoroughly. Integration, when I say integration, so you will test the MMSD scenarios also, right? So at the time of goods issued to the customer, it should be get impacted on the inventory, and your sales entry also should get impacted, your customer entry also should get impacted, right? So integration, I mean, basically you are testing all the scenarios, considering all the integration scenarios also. User training, yes, users don't know anything how to process the transactions in SAP, so it's our responsible to provide training to them. Documentation, I already mentioned a couple of times. Yes, documentation, the final documentation we need to prepare basically for the users, which is user guide documentation. User acceptance test, this is very, very, very important because now from all the modules, from all the areas, user has to test from the Verizon side, from the Verizon accounting team side, they have to test all the scenarios from the GL, AP, AR, SD, I mean asset accounting, everything they have to test all the scenarios, right? Similarly, other modules also, sales and distribution, scenarios, SD scenarios, they have to test from the business side. At last, once if they are happy, if the client is very happy with the business process, the SAP business process, SAP configuration settings is tested, I mean, what are the scenarios they tested, the tested documents, if everything is, if they are fine with their results, expected results, what they will do? They will provide the sign off copy. The reason why I marked in the red color, because this sign off is very, very important, user acceptance test. So once we get this sign off copy, then only the changes will be moved to the production system. Okay, so once we get sign off copy from the business, once they complete the complete testing, they'll provide the sign off copy. This sign off copy will be mentioned very clearly, saying that all the signals has been tested thoroughly and you can move changes to the production system. Now, slowly the data migration starts. What is the data migration? Now they are using Oracle system or Tally system. Now their data is exist in which system? In their sources. Source system is your Oracle or Tally. Now you have to move that data. What kind of data? It could be master data like a suppliers, customer data, supplier data, GL data, cost center data, whatever the data, right? You have to get the data to the SAP system. And also transactional data like a customer invoice data, vendor invoice data, asset related data, transactional data also needs to be transferred to the SAP system. Okay, so we have some technical tools in SAP to load the data. One is LSNW, which is legacy system migration workbench, and latest is MYD migrate your data. This is a Fury application where you can just you will get the data in the templates from the client. We have some standard templates, migration templates like uploading master data, uploading transactional data. For example, GL master data. Yes, we have one template to create master data in SAP system. So we use one application called migrate your data, and also we have some other tools like LSNW, BDC. BDC is something like related to technical batch data communication. So technical team will prepare some, they'll develop some programs to load the data. Okay, but usually, generally, it depends. Normally, technical team will develop the programs as per the business requirement. So, but the business requirement who will be taking care the requirement? We as a functional consultants will be discussing with the client always. So technical team will be discussing very less with the client. They will always coordinate with us. They are not going to discuss with the client. We are the consultants. We are the functional consultants. So we'll be discussing with the client. Convincing client is very difficult again. You have to convince the client always. Just like marketing again. Okay, so now you're transferring data to the SAP system. Preparing for cutover get activities. Now you should have some date, right? On which date you want to move, on which date you want to start SAP for Verizon. What will be your current cutover date for your Oracle Tally? On which date you want to stop posting transactions in Tally or Oracle system? So for example, today is something, what is today? Something 7th, 20th, right? Just imagine that 25th is the last date updating transactions in Tally for the Verizon. So after 25th, you may take 3 or 4 days. After, 20th or 29th, on 29th of July, they will start, the go live will happen. Okay. After final preparation, go live. So all the data will be moved to the SAP system, SAP production system. Now Verizon accountants, salespersons, all the end users can start working in the SAP system, in the production system, SAP production system. They already stopped on 25th, right? They started on 29th in SAP system. Now the go live is done. Now Verizon is working in SAP completely. They are not using any other system. They stopped using Tally. They stopped using Oracle. Everything. Okay. Now the question comes to support. As a SAP as a since I was involved in the implementation phase, so I know what has been done. So I'll give. I will be working as a support as a, of course I will be involved in support project also for this client. At least maybe it depends upon the SLA, service level agreements. Okay, whether I'll be working for long time for this project as a support consultant, or I'll be working 2 or 3 months. It depends. So as a support, definitely I'll be receiving issues. I need to resolve all the issues. So in production, users will face some issues. Definitely they will face some issues. So we as SAP consultants, we need to solve the issues, their issues. Now, so usually you will have hypercare support. Hypercare support is part of. Mm. See, technical, they don't know technical things, right? They want the data into SAP system. That's it. So it's from our side only. It's our responsible. Which tool needs to be implemented for which data, what data, right? This is technical, sir. This is completely from our side only. Batch data communication. So to keep it very simple, SAP has provided some for each area. For example, customer invoices. So there is a template for customer invoices. I will update the data in the Excel sheet, then I will upload the file into SAP. For vendor invoice, we have another template. For asset upload, we have another template. No, no, no. Under MYD, this is one application where it can load the master data and transaction data. BDC also we can load master data transaction data. LSNW also we can load master data transaction data. These are the different tools which are used for data migration. That's what I want to say. So what kind of data I mentioned here? Yep, yep, sir. That's correct. Yep, exactly. Any other question from the final preparations? This is very important. Of course, each and every phase is important to understand. Okay, but if you have any questions, definitely I'll answer. Legacy system migration workbench. Legacy system migration workbench. This is not nowadays when no one is using LSNW, but usually they are using MYD or technical team developing some programs based on the BDC. So legacy system is your Oracle or Tally. You are migrating the data, right? That's the meaning here. So your now the entire system is, I mean, now Verizon they have started working in the production system since all the master data, transit data exist in production. They stopped using Tally Oracle their existing systems. It's as SAP consultants, I need to support them. This hypercare support will be something 2 to 3 months. It depends upon the Delight and Verizon based on the SLA agreement, service level agreements, whether they will support 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, depends. Or they will continue for the next 1 year. It depends, right? Depends upon the business agreements. So I will be there. You're supporting them. So immediately after implementation, we need to support users, right? 2 to 3 months. If the client says please support for the next 1 year, yeah, depends again. It has to be discussed at the business terms, right? Service level agreements again. Remote, where everyone will be remote from each phase, from each model, 1 or 2 people will be there. Earlier, each model you have 5 6 persons also, 5 6 consultants also. Sir, cost comes into picture, right, for the client also. This is not something like in crores, right? This is in billions. Do another project. They will want the delight will place in another project. You will move to another project. Again, you will have some internal calls. Again, client calls will have. Depends upon the project size, madam. What will be the requirement from the client? Is it implementation or is it a support? Is it a rollout? We need to understand the timelines of the project. What is their requirement? It depends again. So as a consultant, I'll be involved in hypercare support. I'll be working 2 to 3 months. So hypercare means both implementation team and support maintenance team. Okay, I will be moving out from this project after providing support for 2 to 3 months. Both together, support team and implementation team will work together with the client under hypercare support. Knowledge transfer, yes, as a implementation consultant, since I worked in this project. So what I will do before moving to the another project, I'll just give KT to the support team, all the business existing business process, because since we implemented, right, I know the business process, I did the configuration, I did the testing, so it's my responsible to give support to the support maintenance team. So this team will be there 1 or 2 3 4 years, depends upon the agreed by the business. So, Bhuvneshwar, here what happens when sometimes new consultants will come into support project. Understood? Chances are there. You don't you since okay you're like you don't have experience on implementation, so suddenly this project now they started support. Now maybe chances are there I'll pull you into support project for this project. So definitely you don't know anything when you join this as a support consultant here in this project. You don't know anything that it is my again there will be some KT sessions. So I'll be providing KT to you all the areas from the whatever the model that we are working on. Yep. After. Mm, mm. So we can discuss, sir. We'll discuss that later since I'm recording the session. Okay. Any other questions here? Okay. So what we understood here, it's these are the different phases of SAP ASAP methodology. Okay. Project preparation phase, business blueprint phase, realization phase, final preparation phase, go live, support and maintenance. Sometimes hypercare, of course, usually hypercare support will be there. Of course, KT will be there. Okay. If you understand this entire process, right, it is very easy to understand other different methodologies. It's a similar, but the only thing is the names, the phase names are different. If you understand this one, SAP activate methodology, this is also another methodology where SAP has brought something around 2016-17, I think at that time they brought this one. So activate methodology also has some phases: deep discover, prepare, explore, realize, deploy, run. So if you look at here, discover, this phase involves understanding the business requirement. That's what we understood, right? During our project preparation phase, we need to understand business requirements from the business. Understanding the business requirements, we discussed this one. Defining the project scope, yes, what models need to be implemented, what different applications need to be considered for this implementation. So you have to identify. I mean, you have to finalize the scope. Identifying potential solutions, yes, from the SAP perspective, what needs to be configured in SAP as per the business requirements, what solution that you're going to implement it for each area. Prepare, the project team sets up the technical environment. Yeah, this is one new point. Um, from the SAP side, the technical team, who is the technical team? Basis team will provide the different systems like development, quality, production. This technical setup will be done by the basis team. Different servers. Yesterday we discussed system landscape, right? From basis also we'll start during I mean our implementation phase only. They will also start developing the systems. Conducts initial workshops. Yes, we'll start since base system has provided the systems. We can show some demo sessions to the client. So we can conduct some workshops to understand the business. We'll get the requirements from the business. Defines the project plan. Yes, project plan. The entire thing during project preparation, we are doing some project plan only, right? What needs to be done? Explore, the team elaborates the requirements. Yes, as a consultant I need to explore the requirements, right? Configure the system and conducts iterative testing. Yes, I'll do the configuration settings in SAP system. I'll do the testing as per the business requirement. I'll prepare the documentation. I'll make sure that the solution is validated as per the business requirements. Realize involves the final configuration. Yes, during realization phase, I mean your final preparation phase, you will finalize the configuration. If you are missing something, then you will complete the configuration again. You will test the system integration testing will be done. Preparing for the production environment. Yeah, now you are almost near to the production go live. So when you say preparing for the production environment means you have to get the data from source system to target system, from tally to from tally or oracle system to SAP system. Okay. Deploy, the solution is deployed to the production. Now the everything is deployed to the production system now. Closely monitor for it. So users started working on the SAP in production. They're facing issues. So it is again our role to monitor the issues. cover the transition from project mode to operations mode. Yes, this project implementation project started with the project mode, right? At last, now operations mode. When they start working in the production system, it is called operations mode, where the system is actively used by the business. That's correct. Do you see anything major change here? It's a similar, right? That's what I said. If you understand the first basic, I mean first accelerated SAP methodology, then it is very easy to understand other methodologies. Bhuvneshwari, anything that you don't understand? Any sentence here? Is it clear? Mhm. Yep. Yep. So agile methodology. Now this is another methodology not only for SAP implementation. They are using across all the technologies, even for Java, .NET. You take any technology, not only for SAP. You might heard about agile methodology, right? So agile methodology also is a methodology for implementing project, right? But in this in this agile methodology, you will see sprints like phases. We will have sprints. So sprint one, I'll be defining the objectives. I will make sure that I will complete these scenarios in sprint one. Yep. So in agile methodology, we'll have sprints. So in sprints, what we are going to do, we'll define the objectives. I need to complete these areas in sprint one. I need to complete these areas in sprint two. Accounts payable in sprint three. Accounts asset accounting in sprint four. If you are not able to complete the specific activity, that they definitely it will be forward to the next sprint. So usually sprint will be something around 30 days to 60 days or 45 days. So here we work in agile methodology. We'll be working sprint wise. Okay, so here also same phases again. Look it from the here one requirements definition and analysis of concepts and requirement definitions. Again, business requirements. You will understand the current state as is process, as is business process, and their expectations, right? Their expectations. So print planning of sprints. You have to plan the sprints. What needs to be done in which sprint. Arrange the teams and tools needed to optimize production. Yes. Collaborative design development from the beginning of the process, the end users involvement and feedback is critical. So we are like we are when we discuss business requirement or doing test phase or doing data migration phase, if, in all the phases we need from the business also, right? We need the business to be in every phase we need to discuss with the business, right? Everywhere. So the involvement from the business also is critical actually. It's very important. Frequent development delivery through sprints, feedback on the testing, appropriate changes and imperative. So every sprint you will have some feedback on the project for every sprint. So this is again same thing. The only thing is sprint wise will work here. So after every sprint you will have some what you call retrospective meetings. Retrospective meetings. Nothing but it's a kind of review meetings. So here we call a Scrum Master from the business side, from each for each area. I mean for each for GL, for APR, like for like overall for FI, for SD, Scrum Masters will be there. Generally, you can say leads, right? Leads or like business process owner. So here we call sometimes a sprint reviews. Okay, this is something related to the agile methodology. So what we understood basically simple at a high level. I'm just explaining you, right? So as a consultant, what we'll do, we'll understand the business requirements. Do you say? Correct? Do you agree? Understand the business requirements. Then understand the business requirements, prepare as is to be documentation, which is called blueprint. Since I'm mentioning this one because this is very important. Then we'll do the configuration settings. Since we have the details from the business side, we'll do the testing. Okay. Okay. I mean, everything comes under development now. Configuration testing. Then we'll ask users, we'll ask business to test thoroughly, user acceptance test. So you will get the sign off from here. You'll get sign off. If everything is fine, they're going to provide sign off. Based on the sign off, we'll start preparing migration activities, right? So start preparing migration activities. So we just converted the data from source system to the target system. We moved all the data. Then users start posting transactions in production system. Now users will face issues, then issues and resolutions. Then continuous support, production support we call it as. Is it clear overall? If you understand this, you are done with your project implementation process. So in your interviews, if you're like attending the interviews, you can just say that this is what we follow in the implementation. Definitely, the other person, the interviewer will think, okay, since you will definitely you will have a good impression that you already have the experience. So you should get that positive impression. Okay, as I mentioned, usually usually implementation, getting a implementation project, that will be, you'll be very lucky if you get an opportunity working in implementation project. But usually the you'll I mean for whoever has something 5, 6, 7, 8 years of experience, they will be involved in implementation projects. If you have 1 or 2, 3 years, I don't think you will get an opportunity working in implementation. But very rare cases. In small companies, you will get an opportunity, but in very big companies, no. If you are getting the implementation, you are very lucky. But you will have a lot of work because from the scratch you are working, right? You will have lot more presentation. You should have very good presentation skills. You should have very good preparing PPTs. Okay. Yep, this is what we discussed yesterday, right? So we have two types of SAP screens, easy access where users will work in this screen, or they can use web-based Fury applications. And we have another screen called implementation guide where consultants will work doing configuration settings in the system. I mean, in this screen. Okay, that is fine. Any any questions from the major methodologies? So these are the different methodologies for implementing SAP solutions. I hope this is clear. So we understood what is ERP application, also understood SAP, what is SAP, and what are the evolution, but the history part on SAP when it has been started and what is your current version. We are in 2023 version, and understanding SAP architecture, and also understanding the definition of SAP S/4HANA. So once you learn SAP, what are the two options? What are the different options that will be working as a? Once you learn SAP application, you can work as an end user or you can work as a consultant. Sorry, this is different types of projects. So when you start working as SAP consultant, you will be involved in different projects. So in SAP we'll have green implementation project, brownfield implementation project, support maintenance project, and rollout projects. Oh, green implementation is nothing but your implementation, end-to-end implementation. Brownfield means migration. Of course, you will have support maintenance projects. Rollout is something where some additional, just bringing one new country to the existing implementation. So you have two different kind of modules, technical modules and functional modules. I have mentioned few advantages here, as it can be updated in multiple currencies, multiple languages, very highly integrated system, some in-memory technology, Plus, they have very good user-friendly application, Fury application. They can process the transactions in any medium, laptop, mobiles, and tablet. This is what I was discussing earlier, right? So once you learn SAP application, then you can work as an end user or you can work as a SAP consultant. Now you should decide which one you want to go for. And also, this is very important, understanding system landscape. You will do the configuration and development, you do the testing, then we'll move changes to the quality server. And again, you will test here. Again, users also will test here. They will provide the sign-off copy. Again, based on the sign-off copy, we'll request everything to move changes to the production, to the base system. Implementation methodologies, we have three: ASAP methodology, Activate methodology, and Agile methodology.